So there was a picture going around the internet today. It
Really?
It was called a Hanukkah Hack.
Is that what you're calling me?
No, I'm not. God forbid. What happens if you don't have Hanukkah candles?
None?
So someone said, take a box of crayons. I've never tried this before, so don't learn from me.
Oh, yeah.
If this is dangerous, this is my lawyer telling you that don't try this at home. Take a box of crayons, light a crayon, it'll burn for about half an hour.
That
Hey, my
sounds
grandkids
very,
once
very
tried.
colorful.
Yeah. So,
But
this leads to an interesting question. This picture was then posted to Rabbinic forum that I'm a part of. Are you able to light Hanukkah candles with a crayon? What's the real question they're asking?
Can you use something else besides oil or a wax?
Say better. What's Rav Masas trying to ask? Can you light with an electric menorah? His dilemma, what he's trying to prove is that you don't need a wick or oil.
Right.
If there was a way to have a candle that didn't have a wick or oil, it would be kosher to light. This is what he's trying to get at.
He's saying all you need is the light.
According to him, this would be a great question. According to Rav Masas, probably a crayon would be okay.
Yeah.
But if you're one of those who hold that you need a wick, or at the very least, you need a candle or oil, at the very least a wick, then no, a crayon probably wouldn't be okay.
You know, one of the questions this raises for me is if practices halachot that derive mina d'oraita are much more solid and fixed than something that begins with a rabbinic decree.
It could very well be.
Because it's like if it was something in the Torah, a specific mitzvah, it seems like you wouldn't have a situation like this. Well, but does it really need a wick? Does it really need flame? You know what I mean? You wouldn't ask as many questions.
Yes and no. Let's say that if it was a biblical mitzvah, we would do a lot more to err on the side of caution than by rabbinic mitzvah.
Like a lulav and a netrog are basically a lulav and a netrog. You're not going to...
And how is it bound? From what material does we know
Yeah.
that it needs to be bound? What material? Which directions?
Right.
And those.
I mean, there are variances of direction.
See, sometimes you can have
holistically.
that because something is rabbinic, it's so explained in rabbinic literature that there's not much question about it. Where something that's biblical is a little more vague at the source and is only interpreted by
Well,
the
it does say
rabbis.
take willows from the brook, and it's not.
Well, it
very
doesn't
clear.
exactly say what plants to take.
Right. A fruit is a good.
But I understand what
tree.
you're saying, meaning it's almost like the details here are. If it was so important of a mitzvah, then you would have more clarity regarding the details of it.
I once met a Rebbe in Miami Beach back in the late 70s. And his name was Rabbi Portugal was his name.
Chassidish.
Yes. And he was like bent over like this because he was brought out of the camps, smuggled out in a trunk.
Oh.
Right? And he used to make Hanukkah candles out of chewed up bread and light the bread as
Really?
You mean when he was in the camp?
yeah. So they take some of their bread rations and chew it up and make it into a candle-like form and light it.
Wow.
Quite amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So let's try to find if there is another thing you could light that doesn't have a wick, that doesn't have oil, that people agree with. We're going to do that now. Ve'od. Furthermore, says Lama says, Bereish Yer Chodesh Shvat HaCholef. Last year, at the Rosh Chodesh Shvat, Sach li zaken echad, Talmid Chacham, over orach ba... I don't know where this is. There was a student, a Torah scholar, who passed through my town, and he shared with me a certain halakha. In Morocco, as in many other Jewish communities, there were people called shadars. Shlucha de Rabbanan.
Messenger for...
A messenger of the rabbis. Imagine that Kehillat HaShamayim would need some funds, but we're in the end of the world and there's no big community near us. We would say, Jack, Zev, I'm hiring you to travel to the East Coast to go tell them you were sent by, I am an emissary of this community, I came to collect funds, Now, very often these people were Torah scholars because they had to, you couldn't send some schlepper to your door. You had, not like today where everybody just comes to, you had to have a person who was someone of stature who could approach and say, you know what, I'm going to teach on the community. I'm going to show that we really produce Torah scholars where it is that we come from. And when Torah scholars met, other Torah scholars are created for that Torah scholar to want to help the other one and to get his community involved. So there are many halachot, many things you see. They'll say, oh, I once met a rabbi who came from Germany. I met a rabbi who came from Poland. That rabbi came from Israel. A rabbi came from Syria. There's a lot of cross-pollination. I mean, they didn't just see Moroccan Jews. He saw many other Jews from many other places. Just like in Europe, many Moroccan Jews went over there to buy things, to collect things, to sell things, or whatever it was that happened. He says, so there was once a rabbi who came to him, Sheyesh b'mkomam, in the place which he lived, Eze Kfarim, there are some villages, Shegdelim bahem etzim dakim. I don't know what he's talking about. You might have an idea what he's talking about. That have, they grow special trees that are very thin, Mileim eze mit, and they have some kind of juice inside of them, some kind of
The tree itself?
liquid. The tree itself has some kind of liquid inside of it. Shemadlikim otam lahir kmo shavan. You can literally light the tree or the branch from that tree, and it lights like wax. Umihem hayu osim nerot Hanukkah al pi rabbanehem. And in those places, what they would do is they would just cut those tree branches, and they would use those branches as Hanukkah candles. You would light the top of the Hanukkah candle, or the top of that branch or the tree, and it would burn like a candle burns.
That would be pretty dangerous in terms of fire hazard for
It
the
seems like it
villages.
was a very practical thing. Not a,
Yeah.
I mean, the people there must have used them as candles in their day-to-day lives, also, not just Hanukkah.
'Cause
Well,
they-
the thing is that when you have a
Eucalyptus
live
is
branch or live tree, it usually
Doesn't burn.
ignite. You
It's too
need
moist.
dead tree to do it because
It must be a special kind of tree.
so it must be a special kind of tree.
I'm sure if we talked to a plantologist, they would,
Well, eucalyptus trees are very flammable. That's
but they
one
probably
reason.
burn out fast.
Yeah. Well,
This
yeah,
seems to be
yeah.
something that
That lasts.
lasts. It
Yeah.
burns slowly.
Very unusual. I heard of a tree like that.
There's all kinds
And
of
he said they
wonders
asked their
of
rabbis,
nature.
and their rabbis said they can light Hanukkah candles with these trees. V'zachuhu kad havatalya shepam achat kam irur hazeh. Said he remembers that once someone made a problem about these candles. Who was he? Shadar echad. He was one of these rabbinic messengers. Me'eretz HaKodesh, from the Holy Land. He came through this town and he saw these candles and he made a big deal about it. B'tana, his whole complaint was Deba'inan shemen u'ptira, that you need both oil and a wick, and this doesn't have oil or a wick. V'shivu harav dematan, the rabbi, the chief rabbi of that area, said, "Hey Chachamiza, where is your source that it needs both a wick and oil? Where did you see this? Where did you see that a fire is not enough?" V'alo katav atur, the Torah already writes, "V'yan kira nes b'nerot tiknu ladig nerot b'chol layla." Mashma de pashut sheikar hem hanerot yu ba'ofen shiyu. The Torah says that because they lit candles, we light candles. He doesn't mention anything about fires or wicks. So long as we have a flame, what do we care where it's on? Rak lo yu kavuka. The only limitation we have is we're not allowed to light torches. What is the definition of a torch? Our rabbis already get involved there. You should know sometimes you see these big menorahs. They light them with tiki torches. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah,
It's a big question.
the ones you see in the shopping centers.
Right, how does
They
that
go
work?
up on like a boom. What do they call those things? A hydraulic boom. You go up and
Yeah.
and then you light it with a torch.
Is it so? Why do they light in the Beit HaMikdash with wicks and oil? Because that's just the way they lit candles. L'chen aktu dinehem, and therefore that's the reason how people lit wicks and candles after them. V'amu od, and they said, "Shekol hashmanim v'aptilot ksherim nerot Chanukah, v'afilo midin." And Maran himself in the Shulchan Aruch that we studied yesterday says all the wicks, all the oil, it's all kosher for Hanukkah. Meaning, don't read that as all wicks and all oil are kosher for Hanukkah. Anything you light with is kosher. So why did he say wicks and oil? Because that's what else is he going to say? That's the way you say that everything is kosher to light Hanukkah candles with. V'shatak ha'ma'arer, and that Rabbi Shatak, he was quiet. V'hena'ani hadavar me'od, says Ramasas, I was very happy to hear this. When they told me about the story, I was very happy to hear it. וגם אני ראיתי אותם העצים מהירים כמו שהוויץ, and I also saw these trees lit, and they really light like wax. הרי לך מפורש, and so it's explicit to you, דלא באינן לא שמן ולא פתינה, רק נרות דולקות דווקא, יהיו איך שיהיו. The only thing you need are candles. Doesn't make a difference how they light, doesn't make a difference if they have wicks, oil, candle. As long as there's a flame, that's all that
Does it
matters.
give the name of the tree, or is there a note there?
There's no note here.
I'm gonna see if I can Google something.
ומה שכתב עוד, and that which you continued writing to me, Menorah, that this menorah, electric one, the one in the Ben Mikdash was lit by a human being. V'kan al mechoná, and here it's lit by a machine. This electricity is lit by a machine. So how you can't light with Hanukkah candles? After asking for much forgiveness from your honor. It seems like you, sir, are not familiar with the rules of electricity, the law, how electricity works. The way you turn on and off electricity is like this. And now he's going to use words that seem very juvenile because he's trying to explain to a person who clearly doesn't have any technical training how electricity works. There's a key. He calls this a key.
A key?
A key. The
What
light
is a
switch, because what is a
Oh.
switch? How are you going to say switch?
Yeah.
Some people don't know what a switch is. There's a key on the wall that turns on and off the electricity. There are two heads of wire, copper wire. One of them is tied to a special wire that goes all the way into the public domain, the streets and the roads, they have their own electricity. Which are constantly full of electricity from the main generator that makes electricity from the electric plant. And the one on the key, that part goes from the switch all the way to the light in your house. When a person turns the key, the switch, in the direction of on, essentially, he's attaching the wires that are off, that power your light, with the wires that are full of electricity, that are in the street. And then the light turns on also. He says this is literally the same exact thing as lighting a wick from a lit candle. The lit candle being the electricity from the electric company, that you're attaching it now to electricity inside of your house. How is it different than taking a lit flame on a candle and lighting a wick? And then you turn off the menorah the same way. You disconnect it from the main source.
I wonder now, with what we know now about the difference between like electricity and fire, from a scientific perspective, if you would define what a light bulb, let's say in a menorah, gives off as being light, but could you really say it's a flame? Is it?
So
of
he's
the same
saying, who
nature?
needs flame? You need light.
We just need light. Oh.
That's his whole premise here. You're right. Those of us who would require flame, it's maybe not enough of a flame.
By the way, apparently pine trees, you can light them like candles. Certain
Really?
types of pine trees, because they're full of pitch, pine pitch.
That must be then when he's... Do you know if in North Africa they had pine trees?
They had certain kinds, yeah.
Okay, so then maybe
Pinion,
that's your
pinion
answer.
trees they have, yeah, they catch fire.
Maybe that's something he's talking about.
Could
Very
be.
good. Thank you for looking that up.
Yeah.
That's a possibility, I'm not sure.
Hmm.
That's the only other tree I could think of that would be.
Interesting. So here, Rabbi Yosef is going to do something very interesting. You have to understand, by the way, that he holds this opinion in regards to Yom Tov also. Rabbi Yosef Masas is of the opinion that you are allowed to use electric lights on Yom Tov, turning them on and off.
Right.
Wow.
You have to understand his reasoning. His reasoning is, you're not allowed to light a new fire on Yom Tov. That we agree on. You are allowed to light from a pre-existing flame. You're allowed to light a wick with a candle that you already have. He says, so essentially, electricity, the part that's always live, that live wire, is the fire that's always on. And then once I attach the wire that's not yet live to that, I complete that circuit, it's not that I've created a new fire, I'm simply lighting a fire from a pre-existing flame.
But you can't turn it off, though.
Oh, wait a second. Let's first get to if you can turn it on. Someone has that orders. It's a Shabbat, you're not allowed to do that, I understand. But on Yom Tov, who said that on Yom Tov you can't do that? He says, prove to me that this is any different. You know, his nephew, not nephew, a younger cousin, Rabbi Shalom Masas, who was much more mainstream than Rabbi Yosef Masas. When he came to Israel, he still refused to accept upon himself the mainstream practice of not using electricity on Yom Tov. There are many stories where the students would walk him home from yeshiva, he would say, okay, don't turn on the lights in the staircase because, they're going to say we're not religious. But then one of the students would trip or something. He would say, no, okay, now it's dangerous. Turn on the lights. And he would tell one of the students, turn on the lights. Because he held it was still mutar. He just didn't want to make a Tairam in Israel about it. I'm not certain that this is wrong. Just that you would get stoned for doing something like that today. But why can you turn it off?
You can't turn off stove.
Rav Yosef Masas's logic is something that you would be hard-pressed to find a modern rabbi using. And that is, there's something called Oneg Yom Tov, Simchat Yom Tov, enjoying the holiday. So there were some Ashkenazi rabbis who held that the prohibition of kitniot took away from their celebration of the holiday. And therefore one should be allowed to eat kitniot because it violates the spirit of the holiday of being happy, to feel so constrained. I'm not telling you, just sharing this was an opinion. Rav Yosef Masas said, imagine if you turn on the light, and now you have to think the whole time, oh, it's going to stay on, and I can't sleep, or it's taking up money, the electric bill is going too high. So that is enough of a reason to be allowed to turn off a fire on Yom Tov.
Really?
Don't walk away from this with Hanukkah. When we don't talk about Hilchot Yom Tov, we'll learn Hilchot Yom Tov, but his opinion is that you could turn it off because of that reason.
What does he base it on?
Halakha.
Where does it say
Rav
that you
Yosef-
were upset that you have to
There are many halachot that are connected to the laws of Simchat Yom Tov.
So,
See,
so you can
the-
turn it off when?
On Yom Tov.
If there's a danger or
No, if it bothers you.
Basically, it bothers you because you're taking away from the enjoyment of the holiday.
You have to understand
That's
that
a
we're
danger.
not used to anymore. We're not used to novel poskim.
Right.
We're not used to it. We're used to people chewing up and spitting out the same things that have always been taught. We're not. No, we're very rarely do we find. Rav Moshe Feinstein has some mind blowing tshuvot, but since Rav Moshe Feinstein, why is everyone just quotes now Rav Moshe Feinstein? Where's the next Rav Moshe Feinstein? Rav Adi Yosef has a mind blowing tshuvot, and then who's doing that next?
there's no innovation.
And that's very dangerous to us. Not because we need it. We don't need innovation. That's not what we need. We need to not get stuck. And we used to have rabbis
Halichot,
who
or
felt,
halachot.
we had rabbis who felt that they had the knowledge and the power, the authority to innovate in halakha. Not out of a desire to break halakha, to the contrary, because they viewed themselves as the keepers of halakha. The difference between a reform posek, then, if I could use such a word, and an orthodox posek in that regard would be one comes out of a respect for that which is old, and one comes out of a desire to get rid of that which is old. And those are two very different motivations, even if they'll do the same thing. Our poskim were never afraid to change something. They had the guts to do it. They had the... Since Rabbi Yosef, we're not used to this kind of halakha anymore because our rabbis that we're familiar with don't do it.